What would you talk about if you were invited to speak at TEDx? When I was invited, I wasn't sure what to talk about. Then I started watching some great TED Talks like you guys saw it on the website, but it didn't help at all because there are so many great speakers. So I thought, what if I talk about something that only I can speak about? And I realized that's the only way what I say will make a difference. And that made me think that is actually also about my life philosophy. Do the thing that only you can do. So today, I'm going to talk about 3 lessons that I've learned from my life and how I discovered the things that only I can do. First lesson. It was 5:46 a.m. on January 17th, 1995. I will never forget this day. I was awakened by the earthquake, the Great Hanshin-Awaji. At first, I thought it was a bomb because I was thrown in the air, up and down, and shaken side to side, and I wasn't even sure if it was real or if I was still dreaming. We only found out much later that we had been hit by an earthquake. Over 6,000 people were killed. My high school was completely destroyed. And many of us lost homes, life belongings, and in some cases, family and friends. Our apartment was only 50 meters south from this photo. This highway here that you can see that completely collapsed. My family home was assessed in 2 words: total distraction. For the next few days, I was trying to help neighbors and friends who were trapped under buildings or in their homes. We did not have water and electricity for 1 month, and no gas for 3 months. It was during the very cold winter. What would you do differently if you knew that your life might change or end tomorrow? This is the first lesson I learned. Life can change or end in seconds. I was 17. I decided that I didn't want to waste a single second of my life. The second lesson that I learned was through soccer. At that time, I was vice captain of my soccer team. More than half of the team had to be evacuated to the countryside. Our soccer field became a place for temporary housing. It was 3 months before the inter-high school championships. We spent more time practicing soccer with our team than spending time with our families. But the earthquake took soccer away. And that was my life at that time. It seemed like there was no way we could make it. We were so stressed by the earthquake that we realized that we needed to rebuild our life. And so we decided to start practicing again. We found a local beach and formed our team again. Training on the sand actually made us stronger both physically and mentally. It reminded us of living life again. The impossible happened. This was me on the photo. Now I lost all my hair. We ended up winning almost every match except the final and ranked second in our region. This was a record-breaking result in the 36 years history of our high school. I learned my second life lesson. You can transform an impossible situation into a win. Until then, my life was all about soccer. I wanted to see life outside of soccer. After this experience, I decided that I had to see more of the world and push the boundaries of what I thought I knew. So I traveled by motorcycle from the northern point of Japan to the southern point of Japan. I visited more than half of the 47 prefectures in 1 month. Prefectures is kind of like a states. One day, we decided to drop by one of our travel mates' grandparents' house in the middle of the countryside in the northern part of Japan. They were really nice, feeding 5 hungry 18-year-old boys. And we were focusing on eating, but after we left, I realized that I didn't understand a word of what they said because they spoke a different dialect. In Japan, there's so many different dialects spoken, and not everyone can understand them. This diversity also applies to food, customs, and traditions, and so on. This trip made me realize that Japan is not just one culture. It is a series of cultures within a culture. Then I went further overseas. I traveled the entire USA by road, went to South America, Europe, India, Asia, Australia, and experienced the culture outside of Japan. For the first time, I learned about how Japan is perceived by people in other countries. Some like to stereotype me asking a lot of questions about ninja and samurai, and if I have a black belt. Some were confused with other Asian countries, and some were curious about Japan. I learned my third lesson. No one really understands Japanese culture. But there's no big secret. We're just not good at communicating our own culture. And Japanese people are not great at understanding other culture either. After that, I worked in the communication industry. It took me from Tokyo to Chicago, and I worked with the people from all over the world. I started to understand how I want to make a difference. Finally, I discovered my life work. Create a bridge between Japan and the rest of the world. Meet with the people, create meaning with them. In 2009, I started a cross-cultural company to connect Japan with the rest of the world, based in Australia, in Sydney. Why Sydney? Great weather, great beaches, but most importantly, I married an Australian. So what does building a bridge mean? I simply wanted to bring Japan one step closer to the rest of the world in a way that only I can do. Here's an example. In March 2011, the big earthquake and tsunami hit Japan. There was a lack of communication about what was really happening. And foreign travelers stopped coming to Japan. It critically damaged the Japanese economy. I wanted to do something to help. With some people who also wanted to help, 5 months after the earthquake, we decided to launch a campaign to invite Australians to Japan. We needed to communicate the message. The earthquake only affected a certain area of Japan, but everywhere else was as normal, and all travelers were still welcome. after the campaign, we were able to increase and recover Australian tourist numbers. But more importantly, as someone who had experienced a big earthquake and someone who spent my career in the communication industry, I was glad to be able to do something to help. Here's another example. Culture connects people. And to connect Japan with the rest of the world, one of the best ways is through the world of film. I was lucky enough to work with a team who were dedicated to the largest film festival in the world. We are telling the story of where our culture comes from through film. These are just two simple examples. But imagine what we could do if we could build a bridge between Japan and the rest of the world and create something new. This is my story. January 2015 will be 20 years since the Great Hanshin Earthquake. I've learned some important life lessons. Do the thing that only you can do. Thank you.